we're going to do is we're going to demonstrate an Estufo Finca gasifier stove. Okay, these are really elegant and very, very simple pieces of technology that can take a broad range of biomass waste and turn it into clean heat and biochar. In other words, fixed carbon as a byproduct. So first I'm going to show you how these work, and then we'll go from there. And we want not firewood, not lumber or anything. We want tree waste or organic waste from crops. So these broken branches that we gathered up off the ground, a little bit of construction waste and everything are perfect. We're going to build our fuel pile in here so that the primary air entering in the bottom can still filter up and ignite the little tinder fire that we're going to build on top of this pile. These are top lit stoves, top lit updraft gasifiers. So put it on a relatively flat piece of ground because we want to control that primary air, and then start with our bigger pieces on the bottom and build our fuel pile. What's great about a lot of the tree wood that we're using right now is that this comes from shade trees in the coffee grove here. This is typically, or traditionally, a kind of wood that nobody would use as cooking wood because it's extremely soft. It burns up fairly quickly and is actually very, very smoky to use. It works great in the stoves. We don't fill this. You'll see holes here on the top rim of our combustion chamber, which is conveniently made out of a 5-gallon metal paint can. And we don't fill up past those lines because that's where our secondary air is going to come in. We've located them low so that we force people to leave a mixing chamber above the biomass load. This is where the volatiles that are going to come off the wood are going to mix with the oxygen that's drawn in through the secondary air holes because of the temperature differential that our little tinder fire is going to create. One of the neat things about these stoves is you don't have to fill it all the way up to run it. We could put half of what I've just put in here, and we could still successfully operate it and get it to gasify. If it's under 20% moisture content and it's an organic material, i.e. it has volatiles in it, then it qualifies as an input material. Now we've got our fuel load in here, and what we need to put in is some tinder. And it's important to do a relatively even tinder fire on the top of this so that we establish a paralysis zone that burns fairly evenly. So we're going to use our smaller stuff on the top to achieve that. So we're going to light our tinder fire. Our tinder fire is going to accomplish several things for us. But primarily what we want the tinder fire to do is we want it to establish temperature differential. We want warm air up here that's going to suck in cold air from the outside. So as soon as we get that temperature differential established, as soon as we get our tinder fire established and it's burning really good, we're going to put a concentrator lid on this. So that tinder fire, besides warming the air here, is also starting to drive volatiles off the material directly beneath it. What are volatiles? Well, we know them as smoke when they come out because that's condensing gas is all it is. Now what we want to do is we want to slow those volatiles down so they can mix with the oxygen that we're drawing in because of the temperature differential. By putting a lid on, we cause turbulence or mixing in there. Once those gases start to mix with that oxygen, they light. That's gasification. Once gasification starts, then we can reduce the amount of primary air. Then we've got a situation where we're burning up all the available oxygen on the top of the pile, and we've reduced the amount of oxygen available on the bottom of the pile. Our biomass is in an oxygen-reduced atmosphere. It can heat up without igniting. That's how we're making charcoal. Normally this cooktop lid would have a couple of pieces of rebar that you can run through so that you can have your pot way up here, or you can drop a pot down in and you've got a pot skirt that keeps the heat on it for longer. With a pot skirt like this, or with the cooktops that we're using, you can boil 5 liters of water in about 8 minutes. We're cutting close to 30 to 40%, depending on the dish, the food, off of cooking time right now in our controlled cooking experiments. And we're cutting, of course, the equivalent amount of fuel out of the equation. So we're getting fuel efficiency gains of up to 40, and in some cases a little over 40%.